Welcome to the AI Research Roundup. I'm Alex. Today we're looking at a paper from the Hugging Face Trending List, published on February 28, 2026, about 3 days ago. It introduces a unified spectral framework that simplifies how we scale generative models in both width and depth, ensuring stable feature learning without relying on overly complex theories. The paper is titled Spectral Condition for μ-p under Width-Depth Scaling. And as we'll see later, this method enables robust hyperparameter transfer, meaning settings found on small models work effectively on much larger ones. And for those interested in the implementation, the authors have shared their code on GitHub. Table 1 translates the theory into a concrete recipe for the Muon-Kimi optimizer. The columns split the parameters by layer type, and the entries in purple show exactly how the spectral method adjusts values compared to standard scaling. For the hidden weights in the middle column, notice that the block multiplier must scale down by RL, the depth ratio. This inverse scaling is what prevents feature explosion in deep networks. Further down, the table shows that the learning rate for these layers should decrease by the square root of the width ratio, Rn. So, Figure 1 demonstrates the practical impact of applying these rules to GPT-2 style models. On the left, panels A and B track the feature norms as the model scales up. With standard parameterization, labeled here as SP, the feature values explode rapidly as width and depth increase. In contrast, the proposed μ-p method keeps these norms stable and flat, which ensures consistent training dynamics. Moving to the right, panels C and D plot validation loss against the base learning rate. Here, the curves for μ-p align, showing that the optimal learning rate remains constant regardless of model size, whereas standard parameterization shifts and requires retuning. Well, having seen the performance gains, Table 5 now details the exact implementation for popular optimizers like AtomW. Here, Rn and Rl stand for the width and depth scaling ratios relative to the base model. The purple entries highlight the key differences from standard practice. For instance, in the hidden weights column, the block multiplier must be divided by the depth ratio Rl, while the learning rate scales down by the width ratio Rn. Finally, the bottom row indicates that even the AtomW epsilon term isn't constant. It must decrease as the model grows in both width and depth. Alright, while Table 5 outlined the recipe, Figure 2 puts it to the test in a challenging scenario, training without layer normalization. On the left, standard parameterization struggles significantly. As depth increases from 4 to 256, the loss curves scatter and often diverge, which indicates unstable training. In stark contrast, the right panel shows that the spectral μ-p method aligns these curves almost perfectly. This alignment confirms that the optimal learning rate stays consistent across depths, proving that the stability comes from the parameterization itself rather than being masked by normalization layers. Wrapping up, two big takeaways stand out. This framework unifies width and depth scaling into a consistent theory, and it enables zero-shot hyperparameter transfer. This means engineers can tune settings on small proxies and apply them directly to massive foundation models, saving enormous compute costs. That's it for this episode of the AI Research Roundup. I'm Alex. Thanks for listening.